Today we're going to be taking a look at a bike that's going to be kind of unique for this channel, but it's also fairly unique in general. And here it is right here. It's the Corvus Crow Pass. Now, if you know Corvis, they're actually basically a fat bike brand. That's kind of how they advertise themselves. They're based in Alaska, so that makes a lot of sense. But this is clearly not a fat bike, but it's a little bit unique in that it's kind of a gravel bike on steroids, a drop bar mountain bike, whatever you want to call it. Right off the bat, you're probably going to notice the tires right here. This is actually a 27.5 by 2.6 Vittoria Mezcal. It's got the volume that really catches your attention, but then you notice it's got these tires on it, the Mezcals, which are some of the most popular out there for things like the Tour Divide and some of these more ultra distance events. It can clear up to a 27.5 by 3, but I think this 2.6 is actually a good choice to keep things rolling a little bit faster and keep the weight down a little bit. It can also run 29 plus, so if you're interested in that, it can run a 29 by 3.0. I'm not a huge drop bar fan, but I'm actually kind of coming around to it. I'll probably have a video about that sometime in the near future. But I think not that I was wrong, but that there's some important considerations that, you got to take into account in order to make it an enjoyable experience. So while this does come with these drop bars, and I'm excited to use those, it isn't so drop bar oriented, the geometry isn't, that you can't run flat bars. They even mention that in their description of the bike. It is for flats or drops. So if you see it right now and the drop bars are an immediate turn off, don't worry, you can throw a flat bar on there and it should work fine. Let's talk about some of the components first, and then we'll jump into more of the geometry. So you can see up front, it's got this PNW Coast bar. It's in the 480 width, so a lot wider than a lot of like a road bar, but not crazy wide. It also has a little bit of flare, but not too much either on that. The controls up here you can see are the GRX 800 series, so it's they're higher end spec on the GRX. I actually kind of like the GRX line. They're a little chunkier up here. They've got a big paddle right here. Just a little bit easier to use in more technical situations. On this side, this is a 1x specific setup. On this side, there is no shifter or anything, but this is for the dropper. So that's a pretty cool little feature, which, yes, it does have a dropper on it. Down here, we have an 11 to 42 tooth 11-speed cassette with that GRX derailleur, which it does have a clutch, so that's great, especially being off-road on this. And then you've got a 30-tooth chainring up front. Where Corvis is really serious about this being ready for anything and being more mountain bike oriented is it's spec'd with some 4-piston XT brakes. So these are more of a cross-country spec, but they're 4-piston and really good stopping power, really good brakes. It is boost spacing, but up front it's based on a 435 axle to crown, so that's drop bar gravel bike territory. Might be able to throw a 100 mil fork on there, maybe an 80, but I don't think that's recommended, and you'll probably be better fit with these gravel suspension forks that have come out now. That's more the intended design of the bike. That kind of takes us into the geometry portion of things, because that number is a little bit different than you might have expected given the build of the bike. You might have thought it would be like a 480, so 100 mil suspension corrected type of a deal, but it's 435. And so that also influenced my decision here to get a medium frame when I normally would ride a large. If you've watched the channel before, I always say that. Typically, I'm going to be on a large, but it's not a for sure thing. There have been a couple bikes in the last 6 months that I've tested out that I've gone for a medium. And I've only hopped on this to make sure I assembled everything right and made sure the bars are at the right angle. But I think the medium was the right choice, but we'll see as we ride today. In a medium, the effective top tube, which is the measurement of, that you're going to feel how far you have to reach when you're sitting, how stretched out you are. On this, in a medium, is 575. The stack is 617, which is decently high, especially for drop bars. You might want it a little bit higher, and that's like the one thing I think I've struggled with a little bit on these is wanting this seat to handlebar height. I tend to like the handlebars a little bit higher. On the back end, the chainstay is adjustable 20 millimeters from 435 up to 455. I'm not sure what the bottom bracket drop is or how far this is below the axle line. They don't list that. I'll figure that out definitely before my final review. But just based on the appearance, I would say it's definitely more in line with a drop bar bike, designed to be a little bit more stable. There's more drop than say a mountain bike that's going to be more focused on maneuverability and things like that. Head tube angle is 68.5 degrees. So pretty slack, especially in the gravel world. And the seat tube's at 74.5, which is, you know, a good amount, not too steep, not too slack. As you've probably noticed, there are mounts everywhere. You know, 3-pack, there's 3 down there. And you've got the top tube bolts. You've got them on the fork. It's got rack mounts. Yeah, so mounts galore if that's your thing. This is such an interesting feature to me. It's only on this side. I'm assuming it's to stiffen it up, especially on the drive side, but it's actually not bad looking. At first I was like, oh, what is that? I think we tend to like symmetrical things more, but it actually kind of looks cool the more I look at it. This has been way too much talking. I want to go out and ride it, and it looks like we suddenly have blue skies. It was raining on my way over here, and I thought it was going to be kind of a depressing ride, but the sun has come out and it looks beautiful, so let's get to it. So I normally take all my bikes on the exact same route for their first ride. I'm gonna do about half of what I normally do, half the same, but hopefully more miles. I'm gonna head this direction instead. I'll still come down the same way, but yeah, like I said, this medium, I don't think I would have wanted a large, but this medium is definitely like a medium. It feels a little on the smaller side, but again, I don't think I would have wanted the large. I think that would have been too big. Maybe if I was gonna go with flat bars, but not as is. Whew, this is steep. I think I've only ever come down this. Very planted, nice and easy to scoot forward and keep traction on the back. Big tires help too. That is very steep. That was rough. Starting off with a fun descent too. Oh goodness. If you're wondering, the bike weighs in at 25.5 pounds. So far, these bars are fine. I felt like I was gonna want something much wider, you know, at least in the low 400s. But no, it's not horrible. I haven't done anything crazy downhill yet. That's where it's gonna make a bigger difference. But I feel like I'm back in my college days where I'd take my little cyclocross bike and try and take it on trails and dirt roads and stuff. It's funny though, is that first hill, I kind of forgot I have a dropper. Should probably use it. That would help even more. I had a salsa timberjack for a little bit, but I had a rigid fork on and surly corner bars. I get those vibes from this. I even ran it with 2.8s on it, 27.5. Similar feel, but the fit is obviously much better for having your hands out farther. You got to bring in that effective top tube, shorten it, and that reach, because obviously like the bars come forward. So you're a little bit farther out there, especially in the drops. Feeling the stack a little. It's plenty high. Wish it was a tad higher though. I see why the mezcals are popular though. Very fast rolling. One noticeable thing about this is it's just an incredibly smooth ride. Titanium's kind of known for that, but I think it's a combination of the way they've worked out the tubing and everything, along with the big tires. It just is very little vibration, a very, very smooth ride, but it's not like flexy and noodly. It's very comfortable feeling. Now we get a bunch of descending, and this is where I'm the most interested in this bike. As I mentioned, kind of coming back around to drop bars a little bit for some things. I want to know how this one does. That 68.5-degree head tube angle is intriguing to me. That's slacker than the Cutthroat, for example, which is at 69. Most of the drop bar mountain bikes are like 69 to 70. Like I was saying, it's just so smooth though. It's like amazing. There's not a whole lot of bumps in here, but it's just vibration dampening like crazy. Dropper. Dropper out of the way helps a ton. 2-finger braking, gotta remember that. 1's okay, but 2 is better. My rotors aren't really seated yet either. Not seated. My brakes aren't bedded. Whew, this is fun though. There is some amount of joy to underbiking. Not that this is underbiking by any means, but just being a little bit more on the edge of control can be really fun. Wish the bars were a little higher. Again, I'm just a big fan of high stack. Oh goodness. Should we go down this? Yep. Oh, gosh. On a mountain bike, that's always like no big deal, but it wasn't actually as bad as I expected. Shortcut. Whew. This is super fun though on these trails. Flowy and rolling, smooth. Whew. Dropper. Felt like I was going over right there. I would definitely recommend it with the dropper so far. Very stable bike too. I feel like it's super well balanced. Like I said, I think the bottom bracket drop, I don't know what the exact number is, but it definitely feels a little lower in a good way. Yeah, and very in control. The steering isn't like twitchy. It's faster than a mountain bike, but not bad. Like it's not overly nervous feeling. Whew. Unless you're not paying attention like that. Ooh. That was way more fun than I thought it was gonna be. Let's talk about this bike for a second. So as cool as this bike looked and everything like that, I have to be a little bit honest. I was not all that excited to ride it. Just, again, drop bars. I don't know why. I struggle with them. I'm not really feeling that way now. Now I feel like, wow, that was super fun. Is it gonna be like my new favorite thing to do? know to like take a drop bar mountain bike on single track and everything like that. No, it's not like it's my passion now, but way better than I thought it would be. Very capable, super smooth ride. This is gonna be a fun bike. The timing's also super good on this because I am planning on doing Rat Pod again. It's a charity ride that benefits Camp Make a Dream. It's a summer camp for survivors of cancer and their families, and it's to keep it cost-free. They do some fundraisers. This is the biggest one. It's a charity ride. Actually, I put the link down in the description if you want to donate to that. It's a super good cause, really cool camp, and just a really good way to help these people that have gone through a lot. So this is going to be a bike that I think I'm going to have a ton of fun training on to get ready for that. I'm doing the 90-mile gravel ride. It's not going to be anything like what I just did, but it'll be fun. Anyway, I want to say thanks to Corvis for sending this out. Worked with them last year on their Skookum AF. That's a fat bike that's pretty rowdy, pretty slack, and really meant for getting fun on dirt, but being able to ride it in the winter. So go check that out. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this, and especially if you want to see more on this bike. I'm going to ride it for the next 4 to 6 weeks, really give it a good test, different wheels, like I said, things like that, and then I'll let you know what I think. But right now, first impressions are good. In fact, they were kind of surprisingly good. So that's a good sign. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.